make it better. And today we're going to take this and turn it into a pipe. Check it out. So this will be a little bit of a process to take a piece of wood like this and turn it into something that you can shape and mold a little bit. So I was inspired to do this because I've got some nice wooden pipes, some tobacco pipes, and I've never made my own pipe before, and I thought that'd be a really cool project. In the past, I've done a few different things with this raw lumber, raw wood, so I used it to make the head of my wooden mallet. I just used it to make a new handle for my machete as well. So that started out like this. You break it down and kind of shape it until it's a little bit of a block, like that. And from that point, you can use it to make just about anything. I've never done this before. I just saw a couple articles online on how to do this, a couple videos. I'm more or less going to wing it, but I think this is going to be a great wood to use. This is Kanuka. It's a hardwood here in New Zealand. So you're going to use a hardwood if you want to make a pipe. There's all sorts of different types that you can use. Briar is considered to be one of the best to use, but it's going to use what we have, and this is what we have. So my first step is going to be just breaking this down, trying to find a good spot where there's some nice grains, and find a section. And then I'll start squaring this off with some hand tools and make a rough shape, stencil it out, and keep chipping away at it until it looks more or less like a pipe. So this will probably be a project that takes a few days. There's some kind of interesting little knots and stuff in here. I think it might be cool to try to keep those in for the actual carving part. So what I'm going to do is just get rid of some of the pieces of this that I'm not going to be using and probably keep this area. So for that, I'm just going to use this miter saw, make a couple of quick cuts, and keep the piece of wood, the rough piece of wood that I'm going to use. It doesn't need to be exact at this point. If you can make your cuts level, that's great. It'll make chipping away at the other stuff a little bit easier. But just going to do these first cuts and then we'll carry on. Alright, this is what we're gonna work from, and we'll just kind of keep the process going. Next step is just to kind of carve away some of the extra stuff. We'll get the bark off of here. I'm just gonna, clean this up a little bit, and that'll make it easier to do some of the next parts of the process where we're gonna draw on the shape of the pipe bowl and start shaping that and figure out what we're going to do for our stem as well. Alright, so it's kind of a funny shape, but I think it'll be fine for making the bowl itself. So I'm going to just flatten this out a little bit, make it easier to draw on, and then once I do that, we'll get a rough sketch on here and start chipping away at this piece and hopefully make a bowl that will look somewhat decent. Now here are a couple of the tobacco pipes that I already own. These I did not make, these are just ones that I bought. But I'm just going to use these as kind of a reference. I might try to do something that's more similar in shape with this, and I might actually just make it so that I can use this stem instead of make my own stem, and just make the bowl using this wood. So you can see if I'm going to use this, how much kind of how much work I've got to do to shape this and carve it down. So I'm gonna get going with the drawing on all this and just take some of the aspects of this, transfer them onto this. So this looks like it's about the right size. This will kind of cut a little bit more of that off, and we'll just take as big of chunks as we can safely until we get to a place where we've got something that's roughly the size we're wanting to use. Normally you could use a bandsaw for this, but my bandsaw blade is fried and haven't bought a new one yet. So we'll just kind of get creative and see what we can do to chip away at this. Don't be afraid to use big tools. I'm going to take this chunk off here. If you can see that, but yeah, I'll take off that little chunk with the miter saw again. If you can see this cool wood grain on it, it'd be sweet if you can capture some of this in here somehow. I guess this should be wrapping around the bottom of it and coming up, which would be pretty sweet. But yeah, it's kind of fun to see how this will come together. I might actually try to use the chop saw. Probably not the way you should do it, but I might try to go top down with the chop saw just right here and see if we can get a straight cut going down. Alright, so I'll be honest, I was not expecting to use the chop saw for so much of that, but you can see how much I've taken away just using my miter saw. I wouldn't necessarily recommend that, but it yeah, it took care of a lot of the big stuff. You can see the nice pretty grains we've got to work with this, which will be kind of fun to see how they actually finish up. So I guess all that shows you can just use whatever tools you've got to use, and just be careful when you're using different tools to make sure that you're in control of the tool you've got. I'll probably drill the bowl down sooner than later too, just so that I can make sure to do that. I probably should have done that before I took this chunk out of the bottom and kind of rounded it. But see how we do this. We just chip away at a little bit at a time, and as you keep doing that, the shape of your bowl, you get closer and closer to it. Certainly there's better ways of doing it than what I'm doing. This is me just figuring it out in my shop with what I've got after watching a couple videos. But who knows, this might become a new method, the miter saw tobacco pipe. Alright, so I'm going to keep chipping away at this guy, and we'll see where it goes from here. So to start off, you're going to be doing some just heavy hitting. You don't need to worry about making it too pretty. you can be a little bit more brutal with it, and then as you get closer and closer to getting it finished, you'll take some more time and give it some more finesse, and just, yeah, take care to give it some attention and give it some good shaping. But at this point, we're still just chipping away all sorts of big blocks of wood. Don't be too nervous about being a little bit savage while you're making it. I'm gonna go with the drill press now. We're gonna try to make the bowl go to a certain depth. All right, so we've got this step here. I already drilled the hole, but you can see how I set it up. I thought that was pretty clever. So I use the drill press, put a hole in, and now I'll just keep chipping away at it. Alright, little progress. We have to make this hole a little bit bigger so the stem can fit in it. I don't have the right bit to just drill that out completely, so I'm gonna just chip away at it, maybe with a Dremel and some hand tools. I'm just gonna see what works and tinker away at it, and I'll see what we end up with. And here's how it ended up. I ended up using the hatchet to take quite a bit of wood off the side, and then I mostly used small chisels to kind of shape it. And I wasn't too worried about giving it a real smooth, polished finish. It just wasn't the style I was going for, but as you can see, you can really work the wood to whatever finish you'd like. But yeah, I tried it out. It works great, and it was a fun project to work on. Super cool to take something like this and bring it all the way to make something like that. So thanks for checking out the video. Hopefully you found it entertaining. Like and subscribe, and I'll keep on making more content on the channel. Until next time, cheers.